Welcome to the Extraordinary Marriage Podcast. I'm your host, Connie Durham. If you've ever felt like your marriage is more of a roller coaster ride than a romantic getaway, you're not alone. We all have our ups and downs, sometimes unintentionally hurting each other's feelings or missing the mark on what our spouse truly needs from us. Life gets busy, and it's easy to focus on irritations and failures instead of celebrating the love that brought you together in the first place. But fear not. I'm here to help you explore practical tools and heartfelt encouragement and rediscover what you love most about your spouse. Get ready to lean into each other's strengths and build something beautiful together. Not just survive, but thrive. I'll see you inside. We are talking about some serious stuff today. Things that we don't all talk about with our friends. Those disconnects that we have with our spouse because we want everyone to think that our marriage is perfect. But guess what? Nobody's marriage is perfect. Many marriages are wonderful. Many are terrible. Do you find yourself walking on eggshells? You kind of dread when your spouse is coming in from work because you don't know what kind of mood he's going to be in, and you are exhausted from arguing. You can't make any sense of it. Well, let me tell you, many married women report feeling very disconnected from their spouse. 70% of the time, it feels like it's a problem and you're worried about engaging or what's going to go on when your spouse comes in. And 30% of the time, it feels workable, manageable. But does it ever feel wonderful? I'm Connie with the Extraordinary Marriage. I've been married over 40 years, and I'm going to bring to you not only things that I've learned myself, but also behavior skills. Well, here at the Extraordinary Marriage, we talk about a lot of different things, from what went on when we were a kid and how we were raised to our personality styles, whether we're a person of faith and we believe that God's there to help us. There's a lot of different factors. And guess what? This is a community where you can feel comfortable. There are 3 ways you can move forward with confidence. And if you'll stay with me till the end, I'm going to actually give you some coaching questions where you can actually ask yourself these questions, maybe write down the answers, and try to figure out where you personally are at. Because often we don't share our frustrations in our marriage. Sometimes people don't even share their frustrations with their kids, and everybody thinks everything's perfect until suddenly one day it's not. And you and your spouse decide to split up because you haven't been able to figure it out. Sometimes we need somebody else to help us figure it out. All right, so I'm here for you today, and I want you to know that you're not alone. And it may be, like I said, that it's just small little things. Once in a while, people are stressed out, or it's bigger things. So let me begin. First of all, my podcast is called The Extraordinary Marriage, Faith, Family, Fortified. Why? Because when God is the center of your marriage, it's fortified. Now, here's the thing. Sometimes we get married and we think our spouse thinks and acts and responds the way we do. We think our spouse is a person of faith when actually maybe they went to church when they were a kid, but they're really not a person of faith. They know about God, but they don't follow God. Even one person learning, educating, figuring it out can make a difference. And so when you connect with some help, you can make a difference. What I share with you on the Extraordinary Marriage can make a difference for you. But you have to engage, plug in, listen, and kind of follow through with a few things if you really want to make that difference. The first thing is draw closer to God. The first thing of the 3 is draw closer to God. Engage in private prayer. Do you know that sometimes we don't pray unless we got trouble? I think that we learn the most when we are having challenges in our life, and then we kind of forget to pray. God's there for us each and every day. Also, find a supportive community. This might be a church or a mom's morning out, or I know MOPS. is a wonderful organization. So you can check in your area and see if there's a MOPS. I'm here in the United States. I'm in Fayetteville, Georgia, but MOPS is all over the place. So find a supportive community of like-minded people. Experience returned hope. So I want you to think about that today. Engage in prayer, look for community, find a place to connect, to refill your cup. Because I've seen this before. Whenever things are going wrong in our marriage, day after day after day, it's negative, it's hurtful, it drains you. But if you'll connect somewhere safe where you can refill your cup, you'll have more energy. And as you learn more and more about why you're disconnecting, you'll begin to be able to deal with it better, to learn how you can deal with it. You don't have to do it on your own. The second thing is, it's not your fault. I want you to understand that it's more than likely not your fault, unless you're an angry person or a critical person and you're hounding your spouse all the time. They may respond in a harsh way. But typically, it's not your fault. And usually the person who's looking for some help, like you're doing today here, is not the person who's causing the trouble. Understand it's not your fault. Recognize that gaslighting may be involved. Man, this is the day and time where it is popular to gaslight others. And that means to throw the blame onto the other person. So when there are certain people, when they are having challenges, troubles, they're stressed, they throw the blame on you. Yeah, can you believe it? And they actually really make you feel it's your problem and you are causing the problem. Yes, I've seen it. It's terrible. I don't happen to have that in my own marriage, but I've seen it firsthand, and it's draining, it's hurtful, and you really start to believe that you're the problem. Acknowledge that your spouse, if this is their problem, may have deeper issues. It might be how they're raised in childhood. Maybe they had their parents, whoever they lived with was married 3 times, 5 times. Maybe they were never married. Maybe they had to raise you on their own or raise your spouse on their own. Maybe there was fussing and fighting and never a peaceful home. Now, I got to experience a peaceful home. I married someone who had a peaceful home, godly home, and I've realized I've been married over 40 years. How fortunate I am. How very fortunate I am. But in my earlier days, I had no idea. And as we go on through life, we learn more and more. And that's why I'm here to share with you today. Also know that your spouse may lack the skills to communicate. You always hear about introverts and extroverts. And extroverts, oh yeah, they're going to communicate. You're always going to know what they're thinking. But introverts, they're so quiet. Did you know they're still thinking? They're thinking, they're analyzing, they're figuring it out, but they're not speaking about it. You can't hear their thoughts. You can't know what they want from you. And that makes it difficult. They go inward. So know that your spouse may lack the skills to communicate. And sometimes we have to learn those. But guess what? We can learn those. And there are things that we do as spouses that sometimes cause our spouse to close up. Close the clamshell. They close up. Third thing is, it's important to put on the shoes of the other person. As you put on the shoes of the other person and you think, well, how were they raised? What's their mom and their dad about? Are they easy to get along with? Are they thoughtful and kind? Are they godly? Are they self-centered? I did a podcast a few weeks ago on in-laws. Oh my gosh, it's gotten over 13,000 on YouTube. Now, I'm on Apple, Spotify, and Amazon, any podcast, anywhere, but I'm also on YouTube. So, in-laws. Boy, did that hit a nerve. There's a lot of people who are self-centered and are not putting on the shoes of the other person. They might not be putting on the shoes of their daughter-in-law or their son-in-law, and they only see things from their own point. That's a whole nother story. But is your spouse stressed? Are they stressed out at work? Is that causing problems? What do they need most from you? I know you're thinking, I'm thinking about what I need most from them. But just think if they were at peace with themselves, and then they could be more loving towards you, right? Well, I have a free gift. It's called The Chemistry of Lasting Love. And you'll find it at theextraordinarymarriage.com. The Chemistry of Lasting Love. And what it does is there's a little guide in there and sheets for you and your spouse to have a conversation about. There's also a podcast. I would guess at what number that is, but it's inside there. So when you get the Chemistry of Lasting Love, it'll give you a podcast to watch, and it'll also give you sheets that you can actually have a conversation and talk about it. You may find things out about your spouse you really didn't realize. And when we think about our spouse as women, we think about one thing they need. Yeah, we all know that. But there's a lot more to it than that. And when you find your top 3 needs, what you really need from your spouse, you might not be thinking about that, and what they need from you, you can begin to practice that. And I teach a class, it's called Rediscover Your Spouse, and it goes deeper in behavior styles and personality styles. The Chemistry of Lasting Love will help you take that first step to understanding one another and what you need most from one another. Some people need a deep connection, lots of talking, lots of conversation, and others need that space. Yeah, so it's important to take the time to figure that out. That's my gift to you. Does he need time to decompress at the end of the day? If we're raising children and we're at home all day, or if we're at work, either way, but if we are at home raising kids all day long, when that spouse comes in, we're like, man, I need a break. Take the kids. And they're thinking, I'm hungry. I'm ready to sit down. Yeah. Putting on the shoes of the other person and thinking about what have they been doing today. And when they listen to things like this, they also learn to put on the shoes of you. And they understand that you've been busy work all day, whether it is at work, making money, or at work, being a homemaker, taking care of the kids, making the home, figuring all that out. Both of those things are full-time jobs. I don't know how women do it who work 40 hours a week and take care of their house and their kids and the whole thing. I think they're Wonder Women. They are Wonder Women. But learning to put the shoes on of the other person and looking at how are things for them. It helps. It helps in peacemaking. Sometimes we have very high expectations for our spouse. Are you shaking your head? Yeah, I know I do. And if we have high expectations, we're going to be disappointed. I don't want my husband to have too high expectations for me, because then I also have high expectations. I can barely make it to my own expectations. And he's very servanthood, very giving and that kind of thing. So he doesn't really have those. But some people have high expectations, and it might be you or it might be your spouse. And if we do the same things over and over, high expectations can become criticizing our spouse. Like I said, over expecting from our spouse, and they can't quite make it up. Then they're frustrated. Sometimes you need to pay the price to get an expert to help you. And often we don't do that until it's too late. I may have said that before, until suddenly it's divorce, and it's over. Somebody's made up their mind. High expectations. Do you have high expectations? Do you find you're disappointed over and over? Well, I'm going to relate this in a way to my own personal story that just happened to me. I taught ballet and dance, and I was for years and years, taught for 20 years, taught dance, and I always had great feet. You're like, why is she telling me she has great feet? Well, I had great feet. Never had trouble with my feet, even in point shoes and ballet. People's feet hurt, mine never hurt, blah, blah, blah. Well, fast forward here in this day, I'm in my 60s and I have a lot of trouble with my feet. It's so frustrating because I'm very active. I like to do things. I like to walk, hike, and do all these things. But let me tell you, if your feet are hurting, like nothing else is any fun at all. Well, I started looking for tennis shoes. I finally found some tennis shoes from some years ago. And I bought several of those, one will wear out and I buy another. But guess what? Just like cosmetics and makeup, I've done that before too. They change constantly. So suddenly one day I bought the same shoes this past year, and the shoes didn't work anymore. So I started looking for insoles. Now, when I was in the store, there was an insole that you actually could have made for your foot, but it was $90. And I was like, I think I could figure it out. So I started buying all different insoles on Amazon, trying to find that insole with just that right arch that fit me. Oh my goodness, I bought insoles. I cut them in half. I tried heel supports and the ball of the foot supports and the this and the that. And it was like, I know, I probably spent the $90 trying, even on some extra tennis shoes, trying to find the shoe that fit. Instead of just going to the expert, getting the insole made and going with that. Yeah, I didn't want to spend the money, but instead I spent the money and a lot of time and a lot of energy because I was so frustrated. Why do I tell you that? Because sometimes we have to look to somebody else, whether it's a mentor, it might be our mom if they give great advice, it might be our pastor, it might be a counselor. But let me tell you, all coaches and counselors are not the same. I myself have a heart for family and for marriage because things I've seen with my own kids, things I've seen with friends who suddenly parted, and because I know the behavior styles and I know the difference that it can make for people. So I'm going to give you 7 coaching questions, and I want you to ask yourself these things. I am a relationship coach, and so I help you figure out what's going wrong so we can figure out together how to fix it, how to move you forward, how to help you get past those things that are holding you back in your marriage from having the extraordinary marriage. All right. Number 1, have you set your expectations too? Have you set your expectations too high? And maybe you're criticizing. You're frustrated because your spouse is not doing or helping or being all that you would have them be. We're all different. And as a couple, whenever you tap into one another's talents, life is good. It's enjoyable. Have you tapped into the talents? Have you looked at and do you appreciate the good things about your spouse? They need to know that. Number 2, what's the most important thing to each of you in life? I mean, what do you value most? Do you value a fancy car and maybe you rent? Or do you value a new home? Do you value your marriage, your family, your kids? Do you value your job? Do you value stuff? Do you have to have every new technical things like the new Apple phone as they come out? What do you value most in life? I know I'm one of those. One of my top values is good use of time, money, and resources. Yeah, you wouldn't think that, right? Now, I mean, like my family is so important to me, but good use of money, resources, and what did I say? And time. And I happen to run late at many things I go to. Somehow I use too many minutes. But if I'm leading something, I'm always there on time. I'm defending myself, aren't I? But I am there on time if I'm leading something. But I want to use every minute somehow. I want to make good use of resources and money all through my years. I was a great budgeter whenever we were younger. So what's most important to you? I want you to go back and grab The Chemistry of Lasting Love. You can find the 3 most important things to each of you to build a better relationship. Number 2, I already said that. Number 3, what kind of marriage skills do you bring to the table? Yeah, think about yourself first. We got to be self-aware first. Think about, what do I bring into my marriage? Success, lack of success, anger and frustration from something else in my life. What do you bring to your marriage? And then what does your spouse bring? That's really one of the first places you should stop and talk about your childhood, your teenage years, your college years. What's most important? Is it God first, family second, career third? Is work taking over? Yeah, work is important because you got to make a living. It's hard to find balance in life. I myself, working on the Extraordinary Marriage podcast, found myself so enthralled on every new thing that I could learn that I was working all the time. Now, I've been married a long time and my husband was very patient, but I have, in the last 2 years, started trying to find balance again because I became so enthralled and so interested in helping you that, I started to let myself stop living and enjoy life. Yeah, we went and did fun things, but I was so devoted. I took my work with me whenever I did that. So, what do each of you bring, and do you put on the shoes of the other person, right? Do you know what each of you needs most from one another so that you can rekindle or enhance that romantic connection? Do you see how many times I've said that? That's because it's really important. It's one of the first areas because we just get busy and we forget to pay attention. Have you learned, number 6, to accept your differences? Yeah, have you learned to accept your differences? One may be messy, one may be really neat, one may love to be around people, and one may need their quiet time. Have you learned to accept your differences? It's important. And the more you learn, the more you uncover, the more you realize that you could take your differences and you can take anything that's happened in your life and you can use it to make you stronger. You can use it to make you stronger. You can use it to build your marriage. But if you're unaware of it, it will tear your marriage down. And the last one is, what are the small things you do to show your spouse you understand and appreciate them? What are the small things? My husband brings me coffee in the morning. When I can't get the dishes done and the sink gets full, he'll do the dishes. What are the small things that you do? He takes out the trash. Now, we're like, that is a small thing until no one takes it out and it starts overflowing, right? What are the small things you do to show your spouse you understand and appreciate them? All right, so you're not going to think just alike. You're not going to be good at the same things or have perfect skills in building your marriage that you want. But with help, you can figure it out. Philippians 4:6-7 says, do not be anxious. Have you been finding yourself anxious about anything? But in every situation, by prayer and petition with thanksgiving, present your request to God, and the peace of God, which transcends all understanding, will guard your hearts and your minds in Jesus Christ. Thanks for tuning in to the Extraordinary Marriage Podcast with me, Connie Durham. Remember, every marriage has its bumps in the road, but with the right tools and encouragement, you can turn those bumps into stepping stones. Focus less on frustrations and more on what you love about each other. Grow together, laugh together, and love forever. If you enjoyed today's episode, please subscribe, share, and leave a review. Join me next time as we keep exploring how you can build the kind of marriage that feels extraordinary. Until then, keep showing up, keep listening, and keep loving. You've got this.